there are some TikTok, dances and things that you will not see us performing.
Oh,
Some different, dance moves and such. We already talked about as a
okay.
team that we're gonna, stick to
Okay.
that
You're gonna
professional
you're
side.
gonna forgo the
We're gonna
TikTok
forgo the booty
dance. Okay.
shaking. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Brand Storytellers, where we talk about brands with the people who create their stories. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a like and a comment. We'd love to hear from you. You know, great brands have humble beginnings, most of them anyway. Apple, Hewlett Packard started in garages. So when I see a small business building a great brand story, I want to share it with you. And that's what we're going to do today. And this time it happened at the unlikely place of visiting a dentist. Today's guest is Dr. Courtney Arguelles, who, with her husband, Dr. Forrest Arguelles, started Dental Nouveau. They are building a great brand because of their belief in how a patient should be treated. You're going to see a lot of that for yourself. I'm leaving some links so you can see it. And we'll talk about why all of this came about right now. When I first met you, I commented on your branding. You had a nice identity, your logo and the way everything looked, and your website was nice, and it told a story in
Yeah.
a unique way. Uh, that journey was actually something you went out and invested in, correct?
Yes, yes. So we kind of wanted something story based, and that way, people could learn to get to know us as people, and that again kind of helps to break down that barrier of like I'm going to the dentist. Well, you're not going to the dentist. You're just going to see Courtney. Like it's going to be fine. You're gonna go see Forrest. You're gonna go see Keely.
Right.
It's not the dentist. So really trying to help patients get to know us even before they got into the office, which is kind of odd sometimes. You're like, I know where you went to school and I know this and I know,
Yeah,
but
they
you're
know a little better. You
appreciative.
kind of put
Yeah.
yourself out
Put
there.
yourself out there, but,
Mhm.
appreciative that they took the time to kind of get to know us and then really know that this was the right place for them to be.
So let's talk a little bit about how Dental Nouveau came about, the name and the idea behind it, the story behind it.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting story, but
Yeah.
I've wanted to be a dentist since I was a little kid. And I always had very positive experiences and honestly didn't know that people had negative experiences until maybe closer to entering dental school.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for a different time. But there was a point in undergrad that I was feeling a little bit discouraged, and it was just kind of an overwhelm of all of these science classes, and you're taking these heavy duty chemistry courses, and
Mm.
it was just overwhelming. And so I thought, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, what am I going to do? And my other kind of passion or side hobby had always been baking, and I thought, okay, if I don't get into dental school, I'm just going to open a bakery and I'm going to call it Cake Nouveau, and that's
Oh,
just going to
wow.
be what I'm going to do. And so luckily, Forrest is by my side and he's like, no, you're going to study for this test and you're going to, buckle down and it's going to be fine. And so years go by, and, we had talked about starting our own practice, but then the
Mhm.
question of the name came up and he was like, well, why don't we add that nouveau component to it?
Tell me how this resonates with those that are in your practice, the people that work with you, and how are they embracing your brand?
I don't mean it to be braggadocious, but I do feel like our team culture is just phenomenal. And,
Mm.
every morning we do our morning huddle and we, go through our mission statement together. And it's a mission statement that we wrote as a team. And then we also go through our core values together and we, do a round of our core values. And we also, talk about a team member who, embodied that core value the day before.
Mm.
And so just trying to, really make sure that everybody starts the day, remembering why we're doing this, those core values that we're going to live out our day by, and then also acknowledging, how our team members have helped us the day prior. So,
That's
really tries
wonderful.
to set the tone on the right foot. But there's so much laughter in this office, and for the longest time it was me and one other team member, and we've slowly
Right.
grown, and now there's
Yeah.
just so much laughter and noise in the hallway, and it's been a really fun and tiring process, but to kind of watch all of that unfold, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great.
Well, what you're describing is called living your brand, and so your brand should definitely be a reflection of the truth. Who
Mhm.
you truly are. Why do you feel those things, the nature, nurture, personality, are important to your business?
Yeah. So, and kind of like I mentioned earlier, growing up, I never had a negative experience. I always had
Mm.
positive experiences. And then come to find out, most people really don't want to come see me. um, and as much as I want to see them, they don't really want to be there. And,
Right.
one of our questions on our forums is, do you have any form of dental anxiety? And it's, yes, mild, moderate, severe.
Mm.
And so, as we started kind of taking not only this airway centered approach, but truly more of a concierge, patient centered approach, where
Mm.
we take our time with our patients, we realize that a lot of patients with high dental anxiety, they actually just need more time. They need more time to feel calm when they get to the office. When you're already feeling anxious, but you're greeted by somebody who is really, happy and positive, versus you walk in, and I'm sure you've had an experience at some type of facility, and you walk in and they're like, name, what are you here
Yeah.
for? That kind of
Yeah.
thing. And she's treating you like you're a cherished friend. And so that
Mhm.
automatically puts those patients at ease.
One of the things that you said that just kind of stuck out to me though was that the whole idea of taking time. Time is
Hmm.
money.
Yeah.
So when you take more time, how do you justify that when it comes to being a busy practice?
We're not looking to have 100 people come through that door every day. We're wanting to have a truly valued friendship and relationship with our patients. We want to, again, make sure that they don't feel rushed in any way. And yes, from the business model, time is money. And so we did make that decision to not contract with those insurances and receive those lower reimbursement rates from the insurances, so that we can not compromise on time or quality of materials or the labs that we use. We handpick everything, and we spend more because we care about that quality. So that's kind of how we've decided to set up our practice a little differently too.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, we really strive to get, obviously reviews. Google reviews are
Mhm.
great. That helps other patients find us, but it also, helps our overall kind of ranking, if you will. And the things that people are writing, and they talk about, their experience, or they're using components of our mission statement in their review, tells us that
Mhm.
we're doing something right, and it feels good to do that.
What you're doing is you're putting quality over quantity,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
the quality will come back because people respond to that quality product.
Yes. Yeah.
Hiring your staff is probably a critical component of keeping this brand true to your core value and your mission.
Yes. Yeah.
So how long does it take for you to vet
Oh,
somebody?
so we brought on our hygienist in August. We
Right,
needed a hygienist probably 8 months before that.
right.
And I tell her, and I hope I tell her enough, but it took us a long time, and not that there weren't great candidates, but that culture aspect, was just so important to us. And once we found her, we're like, nope, she's it. We've waited for this person. And so, from maybe the business consultant side of things, we are slow to pull the trigger. You know, Dentists in nature, we're a little OCD, we're a little type A, we're kind of micromanagers. So we have all of these faults. And so to let somebody in, is hard. And so it has taken us longer. And our growth trajectory is, maybe not quite as rampant as it could have been. But again, we feel good about our team culture and where we are. And so that's all I need to sleep at night,
Yeah,
really.
so you're building the future in the form
Yes.
that you want it to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Your brand is literally the result of you being true to your principles, true to your craft and skills and dedication and your mission.
Hmm.
And that is so important for companies that want to succeed to be. And you can look at the iconic brands,
Yeah.
and they had a passion and they were uncompromising with that passion, and it found its market.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I would think that you're finding the right kind of patients too,
Yes.
for
Yes.
lack of a better way to describe it. It's not just anybody, it's somebody looking for what you're doing. Do you find
Yes.
that's true?
100%. And, there's been, you can't win them all. And,
Right.
we may not be the practice for every person. And that's okay,
Mhm.
because we want that patient to be happy wherever their dental home may be. But yes, for the patients that get here and figure it out, and that kind of join our patient family, and drink the Kool-Aid, if you will, those are the ones that are going to stay and that are going to be long term.
Right.
And again, we're not here for volume. We want that
Yeah.
quality, we want that relationship with our patients, and we want to be a part of their lives and their story too. And
Right.
this is a community thing. As Bart, I mean, this is a very busy community. It's already well established, yet there's a lot of new growth coming in. And so it was like, okay, well, we can't have the same websites as every other office in town. We're just not going to stand out. And so what can we do? And we found a dental marketing type company that shoots videos like that, and I happened to see that on social media, and it was like, this is going to be different. None of the other websites in this area look like this, feel like this, and so this is going to be what helps us kind of stand apart.
So it sounds like you were pretty satisfied with the outcome of that effort.
Yes, yes, I think so. And, we've kind of talked about maybe adding some more videos and content,
Hmm.
even maybe talking about the services that we offer, just so that patients, because we're all on our phones all the time. So just so
Right.
that, patients can kind of look through that a little bit more, and kind of get more information too, or even just educational information on tips and tricks of how to clean your nose so you can breathe better at night. you know
I want to see that video.
Yeah, I can do a demonstration.
I want, yes, yeah, that would be fun. We want likes on our videos,
Yes,
so
yes.
please clean your nose. Let's dream ahead, and everything. Maybe you already have. You probably already have this,
Love
but
it.
you and Forrest maybe dreaming this, and you're thinking, where should you
Yes.
take this?
Well, I focus on what is called airway centered dentistry, and I unusual in this sense is good to me. But it is a unique kind of side of dentistry, and we're really focusing on how the oral structures are, made up, and how things that are going on in your mouth can also attribute to some possible issues with your sleep and your overall health and wellness. And all of these connections are being made and these articles are being published, and I just had to get on board with that, just because I try to live my life, in a very healthy manner, and so I
Yeah.
want to help patients, feel their best. And it does go beyond their teeth. And
Yeah.
so trying to make that, oral systemic connection and offer them some, possible solutions as well, really just made us want to branch out on our own, and not work for other, dentists anymore, but do things kind of our way. So I mean, we definitely want to kind of continue to expand on the airway side of the practice, kind of, with me at the helm of that. But we started talking about, other areas surrounding us, and possibly adding on another location in the future,
Okay.
and just kind of broadening the reach of that brand, just because again it has been well received by the patients we have. And by our team members as well. And so it does make you feel like you're doing something right.
What's the biggest challenge that you find for it to be what you really want it to be? I mean, if you could fix something, what would you fix?
So again, Forrest and I have more of that, I don't want to say a scarcity mindset, but a
Mhm.
little bit. When you go through dental school, you learn all of these very finite technical skills, and the business side of things is very minimally to none. It's not taught very much. And so you get out and then you own this practice, and you're, trying to learn all of these terms from your CPA, and you're drinking through a fire hose.
Right.
But it's to truly not live with a scarcity mindset and live in that abundance type mindset. And
Okay.
so that's kind of us getting out of our own way, I think sometimes is it, because we know we've got the technical things down. There's the seemingly harder components are really the easier components.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you say scarcity, I guess I want you to expand on that a
Yeah.
bit.
More so just kind of like I mentioned earlier, just, thinking, okay, we need to bring somebody on, or we need to expand our current facility, because we actually still have some more rooms that we can, outfit. And it's like, okay, are we ready to make that investment? Do we hold off? Do we, because it is, every time you add on a room, it's a significant investment, and you got to think about your overhead, and where all of these numbers match up versus
All
just like
that business stuff
all
that
that
gets in the
jargon.
way.
Yeah. um
Let's say that I'm a small company. It may
mhm.
not be a dentist, but let's say I'm a service, maybe some kind of service or technical service company. If you were giving general advice, I mean, what was the downside of doing that, or what would you do again in maybe a different way?
I think the biggest takeaway is to really work on some of that ground marketing,
Mm.
and, just put your feet to the pavement and get to know other local businesses. Have maybe an offering to them, or some kind of, mutual benefit that could be exchanged between those two businesses, so that that little bit of endorsement kind of helps bolster each one of your, maybe social media profiles, and, that sort of thing. So just kind of trying to get to know other businesses in the area.
Hmm.
We try to, buy coffee from a local coffee shop, and we get those gift cards. And those are the gift cards that we give to patients when it's their birthday. And so just trying to support local, but also just get to know other people in the community too. One of our team members is super, social media savvy. So she's been very helpful in kind of coming up with content that's, relevant to our practice and that's
Hmm.
informative, but it also has to be fun, and
Right.
so kind of trying to mix and match a little bit here and there.
Yeah, and it has to, and this is where the complexity of it comes in. I guess the nuance is what I would say, is that you want it to be fun, but you want it to be fun in a reflective way that is true to who you really are as a
Right.
company, as individuals, the experience
Yes.
that people would be uh,
Yes.
um, anticipating to have from looking at that,
Yes.
because there's a lot of fun things you can do, but it might make me think, well, they're kind of silly,
Yes.
and silly may be good and appropriate in some cases, especially
Right.
if you're talking to children about children or things like.
Yes. Yeah.
But
We don't.
they want competency,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
Get
Yeah.
into my
There's
mouth
some.
with a metal object.
Yes. Yes.
I want competency.
Yes, yeah. There's some TikTok, dances and things that you will not see us performing.
Oh,
Some different, dance moves and such. We already talked about as a
okay.
team that we're gonna, stick to
Okay,
that professional
you're
side.
gonna forgo the
We're gonna
TikTok
forgo the booty
dance. Okay,
shaking. Yeah,
you're telling your brand story, but really you're just telling who you
yeah,
and Forrest really are and what you're trying to do. And so let's talk about that point a bit, because this really affects people on a not just a physical level, having better dental health and physical health, but emotional health as well. Can you remember a comment that a patient has made to you that just said that made you think that's why all of this is worth it?
yes. Yeah, it happens somewhat often, but one of the biggest things that people don't want to have happen to them is they don't want to get numb. And I totally understand that. Again, it's not nobody's, jazzed about it, but when you have somebody that can barely get in the door, they are so fearful that they can barely get in the door, and then they sit in the chair and, just immediately start crying.
Oh,
And you just feel for them, and people are
oh,
so embarrassed, and for us, don't be embarrassed. There is nothing to be embarrassed about. The doors are closed. This is, a you me thing. We're going to work through this. But when we can, get that process over with, and I had a patient who, cried, got the tears out, and then we're like, I'm gonna walk you through this step by step. Got her numb, and she's like, are you done? I was like, yeah, yeah, we're done. And she's like, oh, I feel so bad. And I said, why do you feel bad? And she goes, I really made that out to be a lot bigger deal than it was, that it turned out to be. And so that's very, validating. And then that person that came in, 2 weeks later was not the same. They were not
yeah,
as sheepish. They didn't cry. And so it's like little by little, you get to see not only more of their personality, but their overall just dental anxiety goes down.
mm.
So that's very, very rewarding when the thing that they're most nervous about is nothing to be nervous about, and I just always am like, we got this. It's okay, and I think,
Well, and the obvious result of that is when I'm not afraid of something like that, I'm much more apt to take care of what
yeah,
I need to be taken care of by going to my dentist, as I often should for my checkups and
yeah,
that type of thing, because I'm not afraid of what's going to happen
yeah,
that might be painful.
yeah.
That's a great story. I
Or
like that
even being,
story.
shamed for your home care and people feel guilty for not flossing. Do you think I floss every day? I do not. I should, but I do not. So
Do
I'm
you
not
want me
going
to
to
edit?
shame. No, you can
You want me
keep
to
it.
edit? Okay, I can keep this
You
good.
can keep
Yeah.
it. I know that I should, but I don't. And so I never want somebody to feel, like they were shamed or they were, felt to be, made to be felt
Yeah.
guilty about that. It's
Right.
human
Right.
nature. Don't feel
Yeah. We
bad
don't
about
want
being a
to.
human.
Yeah, and I think that's for general health care. Nobody wants to be shamed.
Yeah.
We do enough of that to
To
ourselves,
ourselves,
I'm sure.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So you feel that validation when they respond in a way that you can see that their fear has been abated,
Yes.
that now they can return and not have that fear, not
Yeah.
be nearly have the anxiety that they had before. And
Yes.
that makes it worthwhile to know that
Yes.
you're taking that extra time that you were talking about. That's
Yes.
what this is about.
Yes. Because it does take that time, but that's
Oh
what
yeah.
those patients need.
No one really wants to go to the dentist, do they? But if you do, find a Dental Nouveau, because when someone believes, like the Arguelleses do, in the comfort and the satisfaction of their patients as much as they do, you've got to keep her. We're going to do more brand storytelling if you'll like and subscribe, and we will see you then.